Oh, lots of waves, lots of thumbs. I think 9 a.m. is an issue with this group. A little sluggish at 9 a.m. Everybody's more awake now. That's awesome, right, Dan?
Absolutely, absolutely. We actually have people with their videos on, people dancing. I loved it.
Totally. I was dancing with like 10 people. That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. All right. So hold on one second. Okay. So we are thrilled to have this mastermind with you guys. Dan and I are going to facilitate this, and we're going to start with having two of our ALC members talking to you guys and really talking about how they're going to end the year strong. Right, Dan?
Absolutely. We've been, the summer is one of those times where, you're right in the middle of the year. Rick talked this morning about how we've got 12 weeks left, right? And so we have a true 12-week year in front of us. And so the conversation is always at this time of year, heading into the end of August, it's always about, okay, what can I do in the next 3 months to close business by the end of the year and achieve or exceed my goals, right? And so that's the conversation we're going to have with our two ALC members. Rick, do we have those members with us? Can we spotlight their videos?
I saw them.
I saw them. There's Donnie. Hey, Donnie. And where's Miss Boxer?
She's coming. She's here. I was just talking to her.
All right, there she is. There she is. Love it. So yeah, so we have Jody and Dawn with us, both on our ALCs. And we asked the two of them to join us today because Steve and I have both had conversations with each of them, kind of around like where they're at for the year and compared to where they want to be by the end of the year and what that looks like. And so we just wanted to kind of share that conversation a little bit. So why don't we start there? Why don't each of you kind of tell us, a little bit about kind of where you're at for this year compared to where you wanted to be at this point this year, and then also where you're looking to get to, and then we'll kind of take the conversation from there.
Whoever wants to go.
Who wants to go first?
Right,
okay, I'll go first. Hi, everybody, and thank you for asking me to expose my business like this. So it's it's a little challenging, but it's good to get it out there because then it motivates me. So I'm off. My business is off this year. I think a lot of it has to just do with the way I do my business, and I'm strictly database and networking. I don't subscribe to Zillow or any of those leads. So everything I do is pretty much on my own. I'm about 40% off my goal, which, after last year being a great year, I set the goal a little higher thinking it was only going to get better. And who knew there were going to be no homes to sell? So, I've been struggling with buyers, not almost like giving up. Yeah, we've had several multiple offers and we weren't able to get them. So they're on hold. I have a couple of sellers on hold as well, trying to figure out what they're going to do. So those are some of the things that I've been up against. And
yet the year's not over, right?
No, it's not over. No,
that's the part of the conversation that you and I have had lately.
Yeah.
And then that we're also going to have today, right? Is like, okay,
right.
Before we can do anything, we have to recognize where we are, right? And we have to kind of recognize the market conditions as well as the activities that we've been doing that have gotten us to this point, right?
Yes, totally not doom and gloom. I've got several million closing in August, so that's coming. And then moving forward from there, I have events scheduled. I've got, so.
All right, so let's pause there. Let's pause there and pivot over to Jody. Jody, why don't you, now you have a team as well. So this isn't just a conversation for you. It's also a conversation you're having with your team members, right? So.
Right. So I'll start with last year, we did about 55 million in volume, which was an awesome number, no complaints. And then this year started off really strong. And we said at the end of last year, we were saying, hey, we did 55 this year. Can we do 60 next year? I kind of like to set realistic goals. I know Keller Williams says, hey, pick your goal and then double it. It's like, it's like, let's get into realistic goals. It was an awesome year. Obviously, we don't know how long this market is going to last. So we set 60 as our goal this year. Last year, I think around mid-year, Ann Callie came onto the team. So that was 2020. And then towards the end of the year, Effie came on. And I think, most of you know that Jessica Buckley has been on my team for about 5 or 6 years now. So we do have an awesome team. And just so now, so we set a goal of 60 million. The year started off super, super strong. And we said, oh, I don't see why we can't do 70. Like first I put it out there to the team and then they said, yeah, what's wrong with, I think it took a little while to digest because it's one thing for me to set a team goal. If they don't have buy-in to that, it's worthless, right? It's like if they're not vested in it, then it's just in my head. And as my kids say, Mom, you said it here and nowhere else. Anyway, so now here we are and we're in the middle of August and we have booked between our closings that we've done and upcoming closings, we've now booked over 60 million. So the 70 million now seems like that's too low and now we're shooting for 80 million. So, it seems to me like, in the 9 months that we have booked and if we booked 60 million for 9 months, then that's 20 a quarter. So we've got another quarter left to book business. So I don't see why 80 million is unrealistic. I think it's a very realistic goal. Although at the beginning of the year, if you told me that we were going to go 55 to 80, I think that sounds a little bit crazy. But as a team, it's a little bit different than as an individual agent. So look, I always say I follow the models. I'm not really good at being spot on with everything, but I think a big thing is accountability. Through the pandemic, I've sort of followed Rick's model of having meetings. We do the morning meetings, and it used to be that we used to do Rick's morning meetings, and then we used to have a meeting once a week at 9:30, and then by the time you got your day going, it was the middle of the morning. So now what we do, because we don't have to be in the office, we now do our morning meetings at 8:30 in the morning and get off for Rick's call at 9 o'clock. So it's a half an hour. So it's really good. On Mondays, we do accountability with numbers. Where are we with our listings and closings? Where are we with our new deals? What's going on with all our transactions? And where are we as a total number of closed, accepted offers and under contract? Where are we compared to the goal? So that's always a focus. Where are we to goal? And it's really about following that. I would also say that we all get really busy. I've got moms of kids on my team, right? So when you're an agent with moms, I've been through it when my kids were little. Jessica, Effie, and Ann has older kids, but they're all moms, so they've got busy lives. So it's really, we get into the habit of being transactional. Somebody wants to see a house, you go show a house, you work with that buyer, and it seems really busy, and then you have a whole bunch of closings, and then so you've hit your peak and then you valley. We're trying to avoid those valleys, and part of that is reviewing pipelines. So, I don't know, if you're not part of a team, you might find a partner to do this accountability with. What does your pipeline look like? Who are you following up with your pipeline? So in a nutshell, it's really, I would say it's a lot about accountability.
So both Jody and Dawn. So more specifically going forward, I mean, I saw you, Jody, meeting with your team in the conference room the other day, and it was awesome. I'd love to be a fly on the wall listening to what was going on in there. What specifically are you looking at to hit that goal by the end of the year? What are some things that are going to happen between now and then that will get you to 80 million? And Dawn, you can talk about what your goal is for the end of the year.
Hey guys, and before you answer that, Jason is here a few minutes early, so we're gonna let Jason in and grab him right now.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll be back to you.
You just got some extra time to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the question again? No.
All right. I can't wait to see Jason. I can't wait to see him.
There he is.
I'm here.
Dude, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for you taking time out of your busy day to be with us. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
It's not that busy. I'm good.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure. Yeah.
Everybody here, I think, is probably more busy than I am, judging by the number of appraisals, home inspections, contracts written, and listings that I know you have. It's easier for me to step out of a meeting than any of you.
I appreciate that. So, Jason, like you and I were chatting back and forth a little bit, we're focusing on finishing the year strong. And, I want you to come on and talk about, some strategies around that, and also how Mega Camp can be a part of that, because we have that, around the corner for everybody. And I know you can speak to that.
Yeah, first of all, on Mega Camp, let me start by saying that if you were invited to come and attend this year, that was really difficult for us, right? Because if you go all the way back to the start, Mega Camp, when I first started in this company, there was about 4,000 agents here. And Mega Camp was Gary in this dingy basement of this terrible hotel and an overhead projector. And he would just kind of argue with you and tell you you were wrong. And we did that for 3 days. Like, he'd be like, teams of the future. We'd be like, no, that's dumb. And he'd be like, all right, let's go. And that was it. And then it grew into this thing where you would get like 10,000 or 11,000 people coming into Austin. And as you guys know, we get 25,000 for family reunion. And then COVID happened, and we were also excited to get back in person. So we invited, based on the top volume and production this year. And the goal was originally to have 6,000 people, and then the city took us down to 3,000, and then it took us, and we were kind of doing this thing. And then all of a sudden we looked up earlier last week, and then this week, and the way that COVID is happening all over the country is different. It's a national thing that has a real local feel depending on where you are. And here in Austin, we're getting slammed. We're down to single-digit ICU beds that are available. And the reason that matters is because there are still people that are having tragedy every day outside of COVID, car accidents and strokes and heart attack, all the bad things you can think of. It's so, you always want to say one thing positive, but it's so hard to think about why you'd be in an ICU room with anything positive. You win the lotto and you're just overwhelmed. I don't know. And so we don't have any beds left. And so the idea that we could bring 5,000 plus of our staff and our family and our agents here, we couldn't guarantee everybody's safety. Sure. And because of that, if you're gonna have these things, these culture things, God, family, and business, if you use it like a compass, often it makes the toughest decisions turn into the easiest decisions. And we just looked up really quickly. So the decision is the easy part. The challenge now is kind of pivoting 2 weeks out and making the greatest single digital experience the industry has ever known. And if you know Gary Keller, that's the benchmark. And so we took everything that we were going to be doing and we started to ask different questions, which is, how would we do that now going completely digitally? What's the most up-to-date content that we can have? What are the biggest challenges that we can answer? And then where is the most confusion right now within the industry? And can we put all that together and come out with it? And I think we're in the process of doing that as we speak. It's going to be really good. So anyway, that's the idea on Mega Camp. If you think of it like this, that for all of the years prior to 2019, the only way to experience Mega Camp was to come to Austin and get a hotel room and pay for dinners and go through TSA and live on an airplane and all of the things. If anyone's been, it takes like 45 minutes just to get a cup of coffee. And you're so angry by the time you get it, you don't even want to drink it. Like all of the things that go with conventions. The fact that you can now enjoy it from your kitchen or from a bathtub or from wherever you want to at a price that is no longer confiscatory, and then with all of the data being available for 60 days post-event, meaning if you don't get to it all on day one, you get 60 days to get to it. I think it's the biggest no-brainer in the history of Earth. So there was that. I am now opening the chat log. I am going to be watching in real time for questions. Cool. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. How you can make more money coming into the latter part of the year. Here's the thing. Everybody's telling me there's not enough listings, and it's just factually inaccurate. I just want to be really clear with everybody. There's actually more listings. They're just selling faster. And I know what you're saying. No, that doesn't match my experience. It matches the experience nationwide. We're seeing more sales. We're just watching them happen so fast that it constantly gives this illusion that there's not enough inventory. I totally get that. This isn't the first time this has happened, though. And so here's the way this goes. We go through these moments and then something changes and all of a sudden more inventory comes online. I don't know what that thing is going to be. It's always different, but it always happens like this. And so you can sit around and you can say things like, this time it's different, but in that case, you'd be wrong, because you'd be ignoring the last ever worth of history. It's going to happen like this. Something is going to happen. There's going to be more inventory. The real question, if you will allow yourself to go that far with me, is who will be the people that list first in that moment? Meaning, if we could go all the way back to like 2006 when the market was booming, and if I would have come on in 2006 and said, guys, this thing is going to change, it's all going to shift. The truth is, the most markets are going to be dominated by bank-owned homes. And so right now you should all call asset managers, because that's going to be the key. Every one of you would have told me I was an idiot, and it wouldn't have been your fault. It just wouldn't have matched your worldview or your life experience. I wouldn't have been able to sell that to anybody. And so I want you to just think for a second that if you were to think completely differently about the market, who would your next call be? Meaning, if the market started to change, who would be the people that would list first? Here's the answer. It's anybody that believes that they're losing money and is at a place in life where that matters. That's the answer. And so think of it like this. We buy and sell real estate because we have life events. We get a job, we lose a job, we find love, we get divorced, we have a kid, we become an empty nester, we retire, we become snowbirds. These are all the things that precipitate a move. Right now, everybody thinks their home is worth more than it ever should be or ever thought it was going to be in this period of time. 65% of Americans said they don't know the exact value of their home, but they do know directionally it's up, which means that about 65% of the populace is walking around with a winning lotto ticket in their pocket, but they have no idea how much they won, which is amazing to think about. So here's what I think you should do. You should be grading every single day right now by how many people you tell what their home is worth today, how much they owe on it, and what it would cost to sell it, and then what check they would walk away for at the end of the day. The more people that know that in your world, when they start to hear anecdotal evidence that the market is changing, they're going to start to do real math in their head. Here's the thing. Nobody gets their real estate news from their realtor. Like, spoiler alert, no one cares. No one's like reading your newsletters, like, oh my God, like it's not real. None of that's real. It feels great to send them because everyone loves a quiche recipe, but no one cares. They get their real estate news anecdotally. You know how I know? Because I'm one of the preeminent real estate minds on the planet. Just ask me, and I'll tell you. My mom doesn't get her news from me. She gets it from a woman named Barbara, who she plays canasta with twice a week. Now, you're probably wondering, what's Barbara's credentials? None, zero. I'm amazed that Barbara can even get to the place where they play the canasta. I'm amazed by that. Yet this is the person who gives my mother her real estate news. You hear, she doesn't say, by the way, here's what's happening in the market. What she says is, I heard that Nancy's daughter sold her house in 11 minutes. And my mom in that moment is like, oh my gosh, the market's great. Or she'll hear things like, you know, Judy listed her son-in-law's house. It hasn't sold. It's been 3 days. Talk about a shift. And then my mom leaves and she's like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. And if you think that your people in your sphere of influence are any different, you're fooling yourself. They get their news in anecdotal sources throughout their life journey. They get it on double dates. They get it at barbecues. They get it waiting in line at Starbucks. They get it on the face pages when they're like, oh my God. They get it in all of these things that have nothing to do with you. And so here's the key to this. The key to this is that the only piece of news they need from you is how much money they would make if they sold. Because when my mom is sitting there and she thinks she can make, pick a number, $200,000 in cash if she sold her house, and then all of a sudden Nancy tells her that the market is changing, and she hears the soundbite, the market has come down 10%, which, by the way, they're all going to hear. In that person's mind, they just lost $20,000. In your customer's mind, who has no idea what their home is worth, they have no idea. Did you ever hear that saying, don't count your chips while you're sitting at the table? For you gamblers in the room, I'm not one of them. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. You know why they don't want you to count your chips at the table? Because they don't want you actually thinking about how much money you're either losing or winning. That's why they give you chips and you're not actually playing with real dollar bills, because they want it to become the illusion of reality as opposed to reality itself. And so I'm telling you, the first people that come off the fence in the next market are the ones that perceive that they had money, that they were losing it, and that want to try to lose less of it. You ever buy a stock and then you check that stock every single day? And when it goes up, you're like, I'm up $3,000. When it goes down, you actually say things like, oh my God, I just lost $400. The truth is you didn't lose it. None of the $3,000 was ever yours to begin with. It's only yours when you sell it, yet it didn't change the way you thought about it. That's the game. I would grade my day on how many people do I let know what their home is worth, what they would cost to sell it, and how much they would walk away with. And then I'd be calling those people quarterly. And I'd be just having the conversation. Hey, not much has changed. If anything, it's went up a few bucks. Hey, not much has changed. If anything, it's went down a couple dollars. You're good. One of those calls is going to be, I'm starting to see a change. I don't know what it means yet, but here's what I'm seeing. And in that moment, that's when they're going to say, well, oh my God, we had already kind of spent that money. Like in our head, we were going to go buy the vacation house, or we were going to go buy the boat, or whatever the number is. Maybe we should sell. Those are the first people that are off the fence. So that's number one. I look at the world, by the way, a little differently than some of you might. I think that there's 3 seasons in real estate, and I'm not going to do them in order, but here's how it works. You're coming into the fall cleanup. The fall cleanup is, by the way, any of you that are thinking you're going to change your lot in life this summer, you've missed it. Like, just, I don't, not to depress anybody, but like, there's nothing you're going to do tomorrow that's going to change what happens in this month. That's just not the industry that we're in. You want to change next year though, and have a completely different year than you've ever had in your entire life, then follow the seasons. Fall cleanup. Fall cleanup means I'm going to get really serious about all of my contacts. Everybody that knows me. And you should start in your cell phone. You should open your cell phone. You should go directly to your contacts, and you should scroll all the way to the bottom. And when you get to the bottom, that's awkward. When you get to the bottom, you're going to see the total number of contacts in your phone. I have 3,264. In the chat log, put how many you have. Then you have to really ask yourself, okay, cool. I got 3,264 people. Let's just say I can get a 1% conversion rate. That's 32 transactions. Did I do more than that or less than that? By the way, people that know you and like you, it shouldn't be a 1% conversion rate. It should be closer to a 4 or 5 or 6% conversion rate. And do you know why? Because 6% of the people that you know are going to have a real estate commission event this year. And you're going to say, what the hell is a real estate commission event? It's an event where someone could have made commission. They either moved, they knew someone that moved, their kid moved, their neighbor moved, and they could have referred you and they chose not to. That's just the number. Do you know why that number is so much higher than the national average? It's because, and I'm just going to go out on a limb here, most of the people in your phone live in houses. Go ahead and wrestle with that one. That's, you know why that is? Because you don't have people in your phone that necessarily are homeless very often. I know that sounds terrible, but that's just the truth. And that group breaks into only 2 things. They're either buy owners or renters. Like, that's it. And if they're renters, the question is should they be buyers? And if they're owners, the question is, should they sell? That's it. Overcomplicated at your own peril. So the fall cleanup is about taking that group and holding yourself in reality long enough to know whether you're winning or losing. If you take that number, multiply it by 0.01, which is 1%, and you're not doing that many deals, let me be the first to assure you, you're losing. It's okay. What's not okay is to not know that. Because you could have very minimal effort and be winning. And then you say, well, what does the effort look like? That's what the winter of renewal is. The fall is about getting all your people together. Do I have their contact information? Do I have the names, the email addresses? And what do I really know about these people? Where are they in their life journey? How many of my people do I know? And we always go back to the same acronym, FORD, family. How many of them do I know what's going on in their family? Is it growing or is it shrinking? By the way, if you are in an age group where your contemporaries are no longer having children, is it possible that their children are in a group that are starting to have children? If the answer is yes, just understand my mom still decides the little things in my life, like where I live and what I drive. She leaves all the big decisions to me, like what I eat for dinner. Parents still have a lot of control over their kids. No matter where you are, you're in the right age group. You have to believe that. That's family. The next one, occupation. If we're spelling Ford, we got an O. Where are these people on their work journey? You know, the average millennial is going to move jobs 7 times if they actually ever start working. which is funny because 26% of millennials are still living in their parents' basement, which is the highest percentage ever in that age group, Daniela. So don't get mad at me for pointing it out. I'm just saying. So occupation, are they moving up or are they moving out? Are they getting promoted or are they way down? Is it time to start looking for those secondary properties? Where are they in occupation? Then our recreation, the average American goes to the same 2 vacation spots their entire adult life on a regular basis. That's recreation. I'm not the only one that goes to Boca every year for bagels and lox. Where do you go? Wherever it is that you go, turns out people go regularly. That's literally a conversation about a second home. If you're going to go to the same 2 spots your entire life, how do you not own a place there, especially in the Airbnb economy days? That's a conversation about a second home. And then D stands for dreams. Everybody ties their life to a dream, which is usually tied to a location. You guys just happen to live in a place where people dream about retiring, right? But think about all the people out there that wake up every day and go to work and say, one day I'm going to save my money and I'm going to retire somewhere beautiful where I can really enjoy the weather, like Cleveland, and live out my days. But if you don't know what people's dreams are, you can't possibly help them. I sit around, I dream about Kauai. If no one's ever been, that's my spot. There's a little place in it called Princeville. I've owned houses there. I've built houses. It's where I'm going to end up. If my realtor doesn't know that about me, there's no way that's an actual realtor. In that moment, they're not my realtor. They're just the person who I happen to buy a house from every now and then. So how many people do you know Ford for? That's the fall cleanup. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute, how do I get this information? You might just have to actually call them and be human, be more human more often. The currency of Keller Williams is relationships. And what that doesn't mean is that we don't actually get purposeful about them. What it means is if you're going to count someone in your data bank, you're going to have to talk to them. And if you don't want to talk to them, you're going to have to hire someone who does. Go hire a Care Bear and be done with it. If you've made the decision that you want to be in a people business and you don't want to talk to people, by the way, I'm all good with it. But run towards that decision and be proud of it and say, I'm no longer going to have small talk with anybody. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go hire a Care Bear. And that person's sole job is going to be to wake up every day and make the people in my data bank smile. That's it. That's their whole job. If they had a second part of the job, it would be that those people attribute the smile to me, the owner of the and not them. And if you're sitting there and you're like, I can't afford that, that's a great idea for someone who's selling a lot of houses. Let me just tell you this. Go find 5 or 10 other people on this call and all pool $100 or $200 a month together. And then all of a sudden you can afford them. Because the right person for this job, the right Care Bear, somebody who has amazingly high I, all they are is social, and is amazingly strong D, meaning they wake up every day and want to do more of it. In that moment, you'll find somebody who will love their job. They will skip to work. Don't think just because you don't want to call and have small talk, no one else does either. I don't want to do any landscaping, by the way. But that doesn't mean that I don't go find someone to do it. I'd be living in a forest if I didn't. It's okay. I don't want to cut my own hair. It turns out I hate it. It's okay to go find someone to do that. And by the way, I cannot afford to employ a hairstylist at a full-time basis. I've come to the conclusion, and it's not just because of this. It's literally because I'm just not cutting it often enough. So all I do is I pay that person $100 every 5 weeks. Some of you are going to be like, that's an outrageous amount of money. That's what it costs here for me. So that only works because I've teamed up with another 500 people who use the same person. I did it unknowingly, but that's literally the gig economy in action. So go hire a Care Bear and share them with each other. And if you own a team or you own an individual business, maybe your first hire isn't an administrator, it is a Care Bear. That gets you through the fall cleanup, which leads you to the winter of renewal. The winter of renewal is the greatest gift to real estate agents of all time, because you can give so much love and so many gifts during seasons where it's acceptable. Meaning you're going to hit Thanksgiving, you're going to hit New Year's, you're going to have all these moments where everybody eats too much stuff and is willing to look past it all. The entire economy lines up behind you, making everybody feel good about buying things and pretending that we should all care about each other again. And by the way, it's disingenuous because it's the retail stores that are leading it. But lean into that and just be okay with it and get on the gravy train for the winter of renewal. It's about making people feel good. It's if you want to make it about religion, you do you and go pray with some folks. If you want to make it about family, I love that also. It can't just be yours. You can call people that you haven't spoken to in 10 years and say, you know what? My New Year's resolution was to reconnect. And I just wanted to call and tell you that I was sorry that I hadn't called in the last decade. How the hell have you been? It's the only time of year you can do that, which should lead you into the spring explosion, which starts, contrary to popular belief, January 15th and runs through the fall cleanup. January 15th to October 1st is the spring explosion, period. You know why? That's when the supermajority of real estate sales happen. Which means the fall cleanup is literally, if you don't have any business, by the way, if you're sitting here and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to make my Tahoe payment next month. I don't know what I'm going to start the fall cleanup right now. Just go. And then just use the fall and the winter to tell everyone what their property is worth, period. Here's what your home is worth. Not here's what's happening in the neighborhood. Not here's what's happening in the state. Not can you believe what's happening nationally, but your home is worth this much money. If you sold it, this is the check you can get. Why am I telling you? Because in absence of knowing that, it gets harder to make life decisions. I just wanted to give you this info so that if for whatever reason you should need it, you would have it. I'm going to be calling you once a year or twice a year or quarterly, and I'm just going to update that number. Does anyone on this call go to annual checkups with doctors? If you do, ask yourself why. If you don't, I can't help you because you've made a poor life choice and I can't get involved in that. Here's the reason you go. You go because you don't want to find out on the back end. Like no one wants to go in and be like, well, you've had this thing and you've had it for quite some time. That's the worst. You want to go so you know. Is it any different here? Meaning like when I had a heart, when I was 36, I was on the way to KW for a mastermind and I had these terrible chest pains. And it was scary for me. And so I stopped in, I just drove right to my doctor's office. And I was like, hey, look, I'm having these chest pains. And he hooked me up to this thing and he goes, how are you feeling right now? And I was like, other than the chest pains, I'm good. He was like, you're not tense? I'm like, no, I'm fine. He's like, I think you're having a heart attack. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And he was like, no, I'm sure. And they put me in an ambulance and they rushed me to a hospital. And then they hooked me up there. And they were all sure that I had been a corpse for 9 minutes by that. Like it was a mess. Anyway, here's the deal. I didn't have a heart attack that day. It turns out that my resting heart rate is 116 beats a minute. Resting, sitting, sleeping, it's just what it is. But you know what? I had never gotten a baseline so that no doctor actually knew that. And so when they plugged me in and they saw my heart was racing, they were pretty sure I was having an attack. It really wasn't. They didn't find out until 3 weeks later after all these beta blockers to bring my heart all the way down to 50 beats a minute. So why does this story matter? Here's why it matters. If I had had a baseline and everyone in the room knew that my heart rate always beats at 116 a minute, I never would have had anybody scared. I wouldn't have had to go through those 3 weeks and I wouldn't have had to question life and do all the things, which it turned out to be a good thing because I made some changes. That said, how many of your homeowners have no baseline? If you don't know what your home is worth today and then you find out the market changed, how are you supposed to deal with that? Why do I have to be surprised? The only time I should know what my home is worth is the week I decide I want to sell it. How does anyone make plans like that? It doesn't have to be. You need to give your people a baseline, and then you just need to give them regular checkups. And I promise you, when the market starts to change, you won't have to look for listings. They will call looking for you. Now, I could have gotten here and give you some BS on like the coolest new Facebook lead that you could run, but you know what? That keeps all of us in the exact same cycle we're in today, which is I'm looking for now business right now. That's not the answer. The answer is let's go look for sustainable business, which is let's understand the calendar and how it works for agents. You now do. Let's understand what the real data bank is made up of, which is Ford. You now know it. Let's hold ourselves in accountability long enough to know whether we're winning or losing without judgment. And then let's prescribe just a few simple things or just one thing to go change our circumstance. And the way that I'm going to close this out, Zoom is an interesting thing because we can all see each other. So raise your hand if you're planning on getting out of the business this month. Hang on, I'm scrolling through. Well, no one that I can see is raising their hand, which is so weird to me. You know why? Because every single month I get this report, which pretty much judges how Gary's going to react to me over the next 31 days, waiting for the next report. But it shows the number of agents that joined the company, and then it shows the number of agents that chose to leave. And I'm always amazed that every month there's this group that leaves. And so I started calling them all. And I was like, hey, why'd you leave? And a lot of them said, I'm getting out of the business. And I always say, well, why? And they say, well, I don't have enough sales. And I'm always taken by the fact that there's someone on this call right now who feels that way. And yet, for whatever the reason, didn't raise their hand just now. And so I want to talk directly to you for a second, if you're here. If you're here and you don't raise your hand, I just want to tell you that you really let you down today. Because there's a lot of people that are counting on you to get this right, and I'm one of them. Because I came out of high school with a 1.8 GPA, which pretty much means they don't let people like me be lawyers or doctors. Like, this is all I have. And I found this industry and I love it. And if you love helping people, this industry needs you. Not because we're going to make some money, which we will, we're capitalists, it's a good thing. But because the people that were in your phone book, your SOI, they need you. Not because you can put a sign in their front yard, anyone can do that. Or because you can charge less, anyone can do that. But because if they're in your cell phone, that meant, or it should have meant, that you actually cared about those people. Someone's going to give those people advice. Someone's going to give them advice the day that they find out they're getting divorced. Someone's going to give them advice when they're becoming empty nesters and we're talking about their retirement money. Someone is going to give them advice when they find out they're a new parent or a new grandparent. Someone's going to give them advice in all of these moments in life. And if you think about your life, who are the people that were giving you advice during it? You have the moment to actually give good advice at the right time and change people's lives. And if you're not sure that you have the ability to do that, then you need to raise your hand and say, help me. But if you're not sure that you have enough people to give the advice to, then you've been lying to yourself. They're all right here in your phone. And so I'm going to beg you to please go give advice and please get back into a relationship. There is no quick fixes to make more money between now and the end of the year. There, I said it. There just isn't. If there was, then the mega agents in the room would be throwing their wallets at it and they'd be making even more money. And that'd be okay too. But there is a long-term solution, which means get more human more often with more people. That's the only answer that I have found in 21 years of being a realtor. So anyway, Stephen, that's all I got.
Jason, man, thank you so much for being here. It was golden and it was priceless. I can tell you, you impacted 160 lives today. I seriously think everyone is just indebted to you. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's such an honor. Getting to do this job. I'm only able to do it because there's so many of you don't send complaint letters, which I'm so grateful. This thing, when I joined this company, I was 19, and it's taken thousands of humans to help raise one semi-functional adult. And to now get to do that, and I know it's for a really short time. No one tends to last that long in these seats. But for me, this is the greatest honor of my life. And I'm just so grateful for every one of you for letting me do it.
Well, we are blessed that you were there, and you may never leave that seat, Jason. Please.
I don't know about that. All right, you guys, have an awesome day. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Jason. Have a good one.
Whoo!
What?
So where's Dawn and Jody? Let's bring them back.
All right, Dawn and Jody. You get to follow that.
All right, Jody, what were you saying?
No, I think he just dropped the mic.
Drop the mic. Yeah. How can we follow
Mic
that?
drop.
Oh man.
He
didn't just drop the mic. He took the whole PA system with him.
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely. And he can. So seriously, based on all of that, looking forward, any new thoughts?
Well, if I could go, I mean, my biggest aha from that was, are you my realtor or did you just sell me a house?
Oh,
So, I mean, to me, that just says it all. Like, that's about the relationship. It's about, the forward and just, did you just sell them a house and walk away? So many people leave those orphans out there. So yeah, that was huge for me.
yeah.
So I've gone through periods where we actually didn't, I think way back when I think it was when I first came to KW and I had all these transactions that I had done. And it was really, I never even had a database, right? So I needed to sort of put people into my database. And I realized, when you have 5 or 10 transactions, it's easy enough to follow up with people. When it builds to 20, you can, but then when 20 builds to 100 or 200, you need something more systematized. And I remember going through my database and putting people in my database with my transactions. And there were people who I hadn't contacted. And really, like, with fear, I would pick up the phone and I would just make that phone call. And this is what I always say to the agents on the team: just pick up don't overthink things. Just do what Jason says, pick up the phone. And I felt really badly that I hadn't been in touch. And I called and I said, hey guys, it's Jody Boxer. And I went to apologize for not calling them. And they said, oh my God, Jody, it's so nice to hear from you. And it had literally been probably 5 or 6 years or something. And and then we kept in touch. And then obviously, eventually when they went to do another real estate transaction, I was their realtor. But we do talk a lot about, are you a transactional realtor or are you building a business? Right. So we do a lot in terms of staying in touch with our clients, trying to remember birthdays, anniversaries, touching base with people all the time. And lots of times, whether it's us or whether we as agents remember to do it, or sometimes Luke will just sort of put a name and number in front of me, and he'll say, hey, this person came up, and I saw them on some list somewhere. When was the last time you spoke to them? It's like, oh, I don't know, but I'll just pick up the phone and call. Don't overthink it. Just pick up the phone and call.
1,000%.
So, and I know that a lot of things that I talk about are really team related because I run a team, but there's so much that could be translated into individual agent stuff. You don't need a team to do contacting your database. You don't need a team to make sure you're contacting the database. If you want to do accountability, find an accountability partner with another agent. It's so easy to do that stuff.
Totally.
It
Absolutely.
was amazing.
So
Wow.
Dawn, are you going to do your fall cleanup?
Yes, absolutely. Actually was thinking about it, but now I have some great scripts. I love the, do you know what your home is worth? How much what do you owe on it? And what are you going to walk away with? The lottery ticket. It was brilliant. Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. That's all you need to, if you ask me to take away from this, that's all you need to know. Go do it now.
I like that he included what it's going to cost you to sell in that force.
Yes.
Mhm.
Correct, Mary
I
Pat.
thought that was because that puts it on a professional level. I thought that was very, tell them what it's worth, tell them what do you owe, figure it out. But always, this is business. This is what it's going to cost you, and boom. I thought that was a very professional, and sometimes we don't do that. We don't put the professional business portion in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, so when you said, Steve, when you mentioned why we were all in the conference room a couple of weeks ago, it was really because I want all the agents on my team, and they want to be doing the listing side as well. And, mostly I've been doing the listing side, and I would love to have them do more on the listing side, and they would like to do more of it. So that was really about, I guess, what's the word? Just getting our listing presentation down pat, knowing what you're doing during your listing presentation. For me, it's second nature. I do it all often, although I still have to practice and I still have to review it. I do think we shouldn't take it for granted. When we go on a listing presentation, we need to have it buttoned up, right? And I do often have the script now to say, hey, the market's been phenomenal. So if you're thinking of selling, whether it's now or springtime, do it now, because we don't know how long this market is lasting. And we're already we're seeing some jigglings out there that it might not be the same market in the springtime.
Yeah, I mean,
So there's-
just looking at the hot sheets. I mean, look at the number of price reductions that we're seeing now. Like we didn't have price reduction, like there weren't really price reductions like happening all that often over the past year, and there are a lot of them now.
True.
Love it.
This is amazing, guys. Truly.
All right.
Everybody took
One thing
tons
I
of
want
notes.
to just say, if I could, was about probably my third mega camp. And Gary was getting a little angry. Not angry, but he was, getting feisty out there. And he yelled at the audience. He said, "This is not mini camp. This is mega camp." And I still get chills when I think about that, because it was like,
Good point.
you want to be a mega agent, you go to mega camp.
Yeah.
Mini agents, you can do whatever you want. But
Very true. What Dawn says is so true, and Jason said it too in a different way. I mean, this is an opportunity, guys, to go to mega camp, because mega camp, I mean, Jason was around before I was. Well, I'm around 17 years in the beginning. Mega camp was just maybe 1,000 people, 2,000 of the top agents. This is right. This is an opportunity, and it's still that forum, right? It's the top agents sharing everything that they're doing that got them to be multimillionaires. It's an opportunity for all of us to absorb that. So mega camp is something that you should be embracing. Totally. End of story. Right, Dan?
Absolutely. So, thank you for that, Dawn, because that was a perfect transition to what we're going to be doing next, which is giving away some tickets to Mega Camp. So for those of you who might not know what Mega Camp is, Mega Camp this year is going to be a 2.5 day digital experience. It's not a Zoom call like this. It is its own huge digital platform where you have where Gary Keller is going to be working with the top agents and top teams, top agents, top buyer agents, listing agents. He goes through, he really kind of diversifies the crowd. And you have the opportunity to learn from those agents, right? What they're doing, how they've built what they've built, what they're doing, how they're responding to the market dynamics that they're seeing, things like that. And so Gary kind of works hand in hand with those agents, does like some big programs, and then there are tons of breakout sessions, which are smaller groups and things like that, that you can like kind of pick your destiny, so to speak, right? By, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on listings, buyers, whatever it is? And so there's a ton of information now on a local level for all of our agents who are attending Mega Camp, who have bought a digital ticket. We're doing in-house events here in the Market Center as well. So there's going to be viewing parties together where people who have tickets can come together in the market centers, view the main sessions together, and then mastermind around the topics, share their ahas, share their implementations, things like that. And now, Steve and I just confirmed this week some social activities as well that are going to be included.
Yeah, hold on. Before you get to all the fun stuff, just also, guys, if you're undecided or a little bit confused, go to events.kw.com and you can see everything about Mega Camp. Click on the agenda and you'll see everything Dan's just describing, right? Yeah. You'll see from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 24th and 25th, Gary Keller on stage with some of the top realtors in the world. That's the part you can't miss. You can't miss. The breakouts are awesome too. They're all individual based on what you want to focus on, which is another thing you should think about. Do I want to focus on buyers? Do I want to focus on sellers? Do I want to focus on my luxury business? Whatever it is, plot your course with the breakout sessions. But those main sessions with Gary Keller, both those days, invaluable. And again, getting back to cost, right? When we used to go to Mega Camp, I mean, a lot of people on this call, Jody, Mary, Pat, I mean, everybody, we used to go to Mega Camp, right? We'd spend a couple $1,000s for those couple days. This is $129 for you to hear all of that. It's an opportunity that you can't miss. Period. End of story. All right, Dan, tell us more about the fun stuff.
All right. So on Tuesday evening, what do we have going on Tuesday night, Steve?
Tuesday, we are going to be in South Norwalk at The Spread from 5 o'clock till whenever, with the awesome happy hour. So you guys, we'll be sending out all the information about it, but you can pop down there and we'll all get together and we'll be sharing ahas and having some great drinks and having some great food.
Awesome. And then on Wednesday night after the festivities, at 5 o'clock, we'll be at the Reading Roadhouse. We're going to have the whole outdoor patio. If the weather's nice, if not, we'll be inside. But if the weather's nice, we're going to be at the Reading Roadhouse from 5 until whenever. We're going to have food being passed around and things like that. And I don't know, like I was thinking maybe I know the northern crowd at some of our summer parties, we used to do a ton of cornhole and stuff like that. So maybe we'll bring some of that stuff and set it up
Yeah,
outside and
definitely.
have some fun. All
So
right.
also during the day, while we're live streaming in the market center, so in the Ridgefield Market Center and in Stanford Market Center, we're going to be providing lunch/brunch. So for those of you that want to come in person and see Gary and then participate in the breakouts that we're going to live stream here, which we will broadcast to you so you know which ones they are, we'll provide lunch/brunch. We haven't figured out exactly what that's going to be.
Timing wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Cool.
yeah, thank you for joining us today.
Wait,
we do
no.
have some fun giveaways though.
Well, first of all, you saw that for every 25 on this call, we were up to 160. For every 25, we're going to give away a ticket. So we're recording this. We have everybody's name. When this is over, we're gonna cut up everybody's name, put it in a bowl, and we're gonna pull out all those winners. Again, if you've already paid for a Mega Camp, we're gonna reimburse you. If you haven't registered yet for Mega Camp, that'll be your opportunity on us. Okay. And also got some fun giveaways. See what I'm wearing? Cool shirt, huh? Jody, you didn't put yours on, huh? I was gonna have you model it. This is a great shirt that we made for you guys. It's a KW203 shirt, and we're giving them away. There's Jody's shirt. So we got them for 4 people today who are still on this call. So Dan, you want to like scroll through and randomly pick 2 people?
Oh man. All right. So I'm just gonna spin my
scroll
participant
and
list.
click.
And who do we have? I've got Steven Lorenz.
All right, Steve. Woohoo.
Hello.
All right. Congratulations, Steven.
Got a shirt
Thank
for
you.
you, bud. You got to get to me and I'll give you the right size.
All
Perfect.
right, Steve, why don't you do one?
All right, let's go. Hold on. I'm not looking. Alicia Oricchio. Alicia, you won a t-shirt.
Oh, thank you.
All
Awesome.
right.
So get in touch with me so I know what to give you.
And David Brand.
David, awesome. All
Where you
right,
at,
one
David?
more.
Thank you. You rock.
Nikki
As
Keating.
I was saying, I really like that shirt.
Nikki Keating, you get a t-shirt.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
Awesome. Guys, we have more t-shirts. There's gonna be more giveaways during Mega Camp. We have a whole big box full. So come to Mega Camp and you get your t-shirt.
All right, awesome. Thank you, everybody. We will announce our Mega Camp ticket winners on the 9 a.m. call tomorrow morning. And so be on the call tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to find out if you've won. Okay. We're going to be giving away 6 tickets, okay, to Mega Camp
Awesome.
tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So be there. All right.
Guys, thank
Register,
you all for
go to
being here.
megacamp.kw.com, get your tickets. Yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Have an awesome day. Thanks again.